Yeah, let me start at the beginning. So, was there any questions at the beginning? No?
I think not.
Okay, good. Oh, yeah, okay, great. So my name is Hrvoje Hadžić. I'm working as an innovation manager in Ericsson Nikola Tesla company here in Croatia. By being innovation manager, it doesn't mean that I'm the responsible for generating the innovations. So actually, I am responsible, but not for me personally, but my role is to enable that all employees within the company can express their ideas and that their ideas, if they are accepted as a good proposals, are smoothly implemented and put to the market. So I'm sort of a coordinator for all innovation activities in the company. A little bit first on the company itself to set up the scene to have the better understanding the market where we are in. So Nikola Tesla is a group. Our company exists for over 70 years. Actually, the company was founded in 1949 with the start of manual telephony exchanges. Those are those exchanges where the operator was connecting from one call to another call manually the wires. In 1955, the first automatic system, that was cross-bar telephone system, was introduced. And actually, 1955 is the interesting year because I will refer to that year later on. And over the time, our company was dedicated to introduction of connecting people to the communication. So we were delivering in the second row, 1G, 2G, 3G, UMTS, 4G, and lately 5G. But the bottom row, you can see that actually our portfolio expanded with the e-health solution being delivered in Croatia in 2007 and a joint information system for land registry and cadastro. Long name, but basically in Croatian we would say povezivanje zemljišnih knjiga, to jest gruntovnice katastra. And we delivered that solution in 2014. And at first, it seems quite strange that working within telecom domain, so delivering the equipment for telecom operators in Croatia, in surrounding countries, that we switched to healthcare, land registry, and similar. But basically, what happened with the 3G and with early introduction of 4G is that informatization and digitalization entered all industry segments and as well as healthcare. So connecting the primary healthcare and your doctors with the pharmacists, or connecting doctors with the specialists in hospitals, they had to communicate in some way, and who better than to deliver the communication solution for doctors for e-prescriptions, what we say in Croatian, e-uputnice ili e-recepti, then the company that was actually dealing with the introduction of telecommunication systems on wide scale and in Croatia. So that's why actually we expanded into neighboring business segments like healthcare and land registry. But I'll come to that later. So our company is a group. We primarily deliver the equipment. We are vendor for telecom operators in Croatia, basically A1 solution and HT radio access networks are fully delivered by Ericsson Nikola Tesla, but we're also delivering part of primary healthcare in Croatia, land registry, and other solutions. As a group, we consist of several companies. The main company, mother company, is Ericsson Nikola Tesla, which has about 2,500 employees. And overall, we have about 3,200 employees in countries like Croatia, Bosnia, Kosovo, and Belarus. So just shortly on figures. So our market is telecom market primarily. Our net sales in 2020 was 2 billion, a little bit over 2 billion kunas, with the margin around 9%. And what I would also like to highlight, talking about the company, is this bottom graph showing the number of new employees. So only in 2020, which was pandemic year, or the pandemic year, we employed new 200 people, and that's how we reached this 3,200, and in this core part, 2,500 people. So somehow we are a mix of young employees. More than 1/3 of our employees is younger than 32 years old. But then average employee age is 38, so we like to call it like a good mix of young and more experienced people. And that is important. I will also touch upon that. But primarily today's presentation is about innovations. So like this statement, Gary Hamel is management consultant. I don't know if talking about innovations, you already mentioned him on Algebra, but this is one of my favorite quotes that he said is that out there in some garage, an entrepreneur is forging a bullet with your company name on it. And that's the reality. And although you might say, yeah, but this is like sort of startup talk, you know, yeah, there's a small entrepreneur in garage and he's disrupting only other startups or smaller companies. Really, the big companies, you know, cannot fail. You know, this is something that doesn't impact really the big companies. And to counter that, I want to pull out the numbers. And this is a famous example of how innovations disrupting companies and industry. And this is the Fortune 500 index. It's a lot of talk about this Fortune 500 index. Basically, those are this index was founded in 1955, and it listed 500 biggest US companies. And actually, I mentioned this 1955 because if you remember, our company was also founded 1949, 1955, although we were not on that list. But I like to say, okay, perhaps there are some similarities between those companies that were put on that list and us. But the big difference is this one. And this is the data that I took for one presentation 2019, that I think that it was like 10.8% of the companies that were listed originally on Fortune 500 list in 1955, which was not that long ago, actually still exist on this list, or exist at all. So this is a really good indicator, looking also at the big companies, how they are failing and what is the rate of, what is the amount that you need to invest in something to remain the biggest company in the US now. Currently, Fortune 500 list also company in the world. But what's interesting also to highlight is that more than 50% of the companies are actually disappearing between years 2000 and 2015, indicating that actually the rate at which the companies are falling out of this Fortune 500 list is actually increasing. And if I put this into perspective a little bit on our segment of telecom segment in communication and connection segment, this is one slide that was generated actually a few years ago by Ericsson. Actually, it shows the on X and Y axis number of years and number of connections. And basically what it's showing is the 3 stages of evolution of communication. So at first, the communication and connections were being created to connect the homes. So to introduce the fixed telephone in every home. And it took us, if we start counting from 1900, it took us about 100 years to connect 1 billion of homes and places. But the next stage of evolution of communication, we were connecting people in those homes. And it took us 25 years to reach 5 billion of connected people. And now we're in a stage of connecting devices, meaning that each of these person has either smartwatch or smart vacuum cleaner or smart air conditioning. And so huge number of devices, and actually if we look at the 2020, it took us 15 years to reach 26 billion of connected devices. And our estimation is that very soon we'll reach this 50 billion connected devices, just few years ahead of us. So this is really showing how the pace of change actually is being increased, and the environment in which you as a company are operating is dramatically changing. And I reflect also again on that first slide that I was showing. Although we were dedicated to connecting the people with 2G, 3G, 4G, just this evolution shows that that you are no longer in business of connecting people, that today you're in the business of connecting devices. And then it's quite logical, seems that our expanding a portfolio from only telecom operators also to healthcare, to traffic, transportation, logistics, and land registry is quite obvious approach to development of portfolio and company. But to reflect now really on innovations, how are we working with innovations in companies our size? Luckily, from early beginning, we had a small but powerful R&D and cooperation with universities. Our R&D today accounts to 1,600 people, and they were actually the core of introduction of innovation process in our company. And our process was introduced in 1999. And I highlight that here because if you look at the general theory of innovations in the companies, corporations, you'll find that first books on innovations in corporations were actually written in 2002, 2004. So actually, I would say that our company was ahead of first books on why the innovations are important in corporations. And by saying in process, I list these steps. So we have from 1999, the process was changing, but basically we had process description, we had all supporting documentation explaining who is responsible for what. We already from year 2000 introduced the tool through which people could submit the idea, describe the idea, and we were following implementation of the idea. We had awarding policies, and we defined the measurements and tracking of the innovations. Measurements, of course, and then awarding policies change over the years, but basically the process was set up. And now immediately, I often get a question, okay, but how come that you're connecting innovations, which should be like a creative process, with something that is now corporate processes and documentation? No, those two things are very far apart. But we're talking about innovations. I took this slide from one book and I wanted to reference, but I forgot which book was it. It was about how the ideas are being actually implemented and developed. And I like this picture because it really shows how the ideas are going through different stages, from this exploratory phase to something that is being realized. So
Sorry, Hrvoje.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I still can see your first slide. Can you please check if your presentation is rolling on? Because you mentioned a picture, but I'm not able to see it, unfortunately.
Okay, sorry. Let me check. Wait. Yeah, I'll share my main screen. So
okay, take your time.
I hope that you'll see. Not that one, but yeah, this one. You see that one now?
Yes, now we can see. Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, great. Let me see. Did I miss something important? Now I'll. So I was talking about the process, and I was saying that we had everything in place fully from year 1999. And the reality is that is just simply the ideas when they are entering, when they are appearing, and the stage that they are taking from when they first time appeared to do productification actually go a very different way. I'm not saying that all the stages of development of idea in the company should be the same. And actually, we like to split innovation management at two phases. And first phase is brainstorming. And there are no processes at that stage. What we like to say is that any employee at any point of time can submit idea from any area. You can have dedicated events, and you can have brainstorming sessions or any other methodology that you would like to have to generate the ideas. But when you reach some number of ideas, then if you want to introduce that idea into some process in development and putting the idea to the market, then you need to consider that big companies, they are running on long-term assignments. Usually have 1 month, 3 months, 6 months allocation of all the resources that are already working on different projects. You are creating strategy, financial goals for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, or even long-term goals for 5 years. So having approach, we're saying, I don't know, I will have one idea, perhaps 10 ideas of different investment that are needed for this development of this idea. I don't know, we'll see. It will be like a brainstorming process. That is not acceptable for way of working for a big company. So you need to have one stage where I will really put everybody mind to brainstorming. But when I identify some initial list of the ideas, then I need to have a very specified process how to introduce those ideas into ongoing processes that exist in the company. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. You cannot just push something new out of the blue to do already established processes working in a big company. But first things first, before I go into process, the first question is, how do you identify what are the good ideas and what is the, those that you screen and say at the end, yeah, I think this is interesting. I think that you could do something with it. And if you look at the definition of innovations in corporations, you will find different description. And when we had several talks with the companies in Croatia, they were saying like, yeah, for us, the most innovative part of the company is R&D, research and development, because they are producing something new. Other companies said, yeah, for us, the most innovative part are our marketing department, because they should be creative and create something new. So the definition is different across the companies. We went for this one, stating that anything that can bring additional value to the company is considered as the idea and will be evaluated within our innovation management process. And basically that turns into two types of ideas. First one is new business, and that is like everybody would like to see, and this is what marketing expects from us, the sales organization expects from us. Yeah, create us those new features, new products that we can expand our net sales, gain market share, enter some new areas, and so on. But equally important as those ideas for new business are the ideas related to improving our ways of working. So basically, with the new business, you're targeting net sales. With improving our ways of working, you are targeting cost of sales. And both actually at the end will produce higher profits and actually bring new value for the company. And in reality, 99.5% of the ideas that you implement in the end are actually related to improving our ways of working. So it refers to either scripting, automating tools, those repetitive tasks, adding different GUIs. So all the work actually that you cannot, one employee cannot do that on his own. He needs either cooperation with different units, or actually needs some investment, or needs some time that we introduce this additional value or this idea into operations. Now, when we define what we actually consider as idea, then the question is how our innovation process works. This is like a high-level overview of our process. So we have the first column on the left-hand side, the list of opportunities or list of the ideas that we are generating. And it could be either coming from talks that are happening with the customer, with the cooperation with the startups, and we do cooperate with the startups, finding synergy between them and us. So more of a commercial domain, then a lot of talks, discussions, conferences happening with the academia. We employ a lot of people from Faculty of Electrotechnics because we have this huge R&D, but not only them. We are employing people also from economy, from transportation, from management, and so on. And in the end, actually, the source of these opportunities and ideas is also internal employee. With 200 people, it's a huge pool of people and ideas that you are getting. We have then internal process of selecting the ideas. I will show that in more details. And with this internal sanity check, when you identify that something is worth of investing in, we are more into next stage, this proof of concept, where you would like to, with small amount, in small investment, and in very short time, you would like to get some validation of your idea. Because it's very hard to know if you have something on paper and to visualize, okay, what we are getting with this. Are we addressing all the downsides and the challenges of implementing that idea? You can't know those things until you create some prototype. And here we are relying a lot on our summer camp. That is the cooperation that we are having with local universities. I will show a little bit on summer camp later on. We are relying also on our lab. We have the Internet of Things 5G labs, so environment, technical environment. We have small-scale telecom network where we can test different solutions, and we also rely a lot on partners. We are a big company, but we are, of course, focused on our domain of expertise. And if we like to expand to something adjacent area, then we rely a lot on partners that have those domain expertise, and then we call them to work together with us in usually the next stage of innovation process. And this is the creation of minimum viable product, where we have actually dedicated space and dedicated time, which we call Ericsson Garage, where we are developing more serious prototypes that are called minimum viable products, or minimal set of functionalities, which constitute actually the product that you could place on the market. Proof of concept usually lasts for a few weeks, while a minimum viable product is, let's say, 6 months, but also up to 1 year is being developed within the Ericsson Garage. And in the end, it's put to commercialization, either as extending our portfolio, listing of our portfolio, or either as a spin-off as a new company. Yeah, I'll show a little bit now more on all those phases. So in the first phase is the selection of the ideas. So if I focus only on ideas coming from our internal employees, so what I said a few slides ago, that any employee at any point of time can submit idea from any area. We have a group of about 40 to 50 innovation drivers. Those are the system area experts, we might say, that are analyzing the idea from technical side. So they are saying, okay, yeah, that could fly. Okay, yeah, that's not possible with current state of technology, or they haven't assessed all the requirements or the challenges to implement the idea. So then they're giving this technical feedback. Those people are, yeah, just to give you the ratios. So 3,200 people, about 50 people are working as innovation drivers, not full-time, part-time, supporting the analysis of first stage analysis of the ideas. And then they are reporting their findings to innovation managers. We organized the whole innovation management into now 7 areas. And for each of these areas, we have one innovation manager, which is who is sort of a business manager. So he analyzes the idea from business perspective. What is really the market share? What is the business case that we could that is attached to that idea? So they are evaluating the ideas from more business side perspective. Just to clarify, when I'm saying business case, I'm not referring to very detailed business cases, but more as what is the potentially addressable market, what are the costs that innovation drive is estimated, and then saying, okay, whether this makes sense or doesn't make sense. And as I said, we have these 7 areas where innovation managers are operating, and actually I'm the one that is coordinating work of these innovation managers, and together with him presenting the selected ideas to company level steering of innovations. Steering consists of CEO of our company together with her leadership team. So you can also see here that this pyramid is actually quite flat. Usually, employee to reach the CEO has 4, 5, 6 levels in a company of this size. But if you consider the innovation process, any good idea from employee, innovation driver, expert gives his opinion, but basically employee together with innovation manager is presenting at the CEO level his idea. So it's really flat, and the CEO and the company leadership team has actually very good insight is what is happening and who are those employees that are proposing the ideas, and also that the employees have excellent opportunity to present themselves and their ideas directly to the CEO of the company. So basically, that is how the innovation process looks like. But when I'm talking about the innovation process and this pyramid of way that we are doing innovation, I also need to highlight another view at this pyramid. And this is coming from innovation challenges, which while the innovation process is open for all employees any point of time, and perhaps you could get a good idea from that perspective, from sort of a bottom-up approach. We are also using this top-down innovations approach, where the CEO of the company, leadership team of the company, defines the specific innovation challenge where they would like all employees to focus on. So they define the hot topic for the company. Actually, right now, we are in finalization of a new innovation challenge. We just got a green light from our marketing, internal communication to go with it. The topic will be customer experience and how can we improve customer experience of customers working with products that we are delivering, not only products, but in general working with our company. So ideas in that segment. So if you look over the time, actually, we realized that innovation challenges are actually the best way to get the good ideas, because when you start the challenge, then it's a sort of a trigger for people to start generating the new ideas. And when you look at the statistics, you will usually see that over the years there is a fluctuation of ideas. Usually after the summer in August, August, September, actually, you start getting this peak in number of ideas. And also in March and April, usually have peak of ideas that are just happening organically. But you have huge peak in number of ideas that are coming when the innovation challenge is announced in the company. But also more important than this is when you look at the quality of the ideas, meaning those ideas that are accepted and put it to the next phase, the higher quality of ideas is coming from the innovation challenge, and actually where you focus this innovation energy into one segment, and then people really start thinking about, yeah, how can we solve this problem, this specific problem, and actually then you're getting usually much better ideas. Okay, so this little bit on this stage, how do we generate ideas? Anybody can generate idea at any point of time and innovation challenges. And now we are reaching the next stage, that we need to somehow invest time, money, people into creating prototype, this proof of concept. And we rely a lot on summer camp. Summer camp is the annual event that we are organizing. It's 5 weeks of workshops where we invite students of final years to work together with us, with our mentors, on specific problems that we have identified. So usually we collect the number of ideas over the year, over the last 6 months, for example, and we get the students with specific competences to sit together with us and to jointly develop the prototype for that specific idea. So it's, I would say, win-win for everyone. Yeah, I think I have some more of this. Yeah, before I go on to this one, I just wanted to reflect on the students. So those are usually students of last years on university, and majority of them is coming from Croatia, but not only from Croatia. We had students also from Bosnia and Herzegovina, from Kosovo, from Sweden. Actually, our Ericsson headquarters in Sweden actually saw this as a best practice across all Ericsson sites, and actually they initiated something similar in Ericsson in Sweden. And at first year when they were doing this, actually they sent few students from Sweden to work with us because so that they could see how it's being done here, so that could easily replicate that in Sweden. But also students are not only from FAIR, Electrotechnics in Zagreb, but also we have students from economics, from medicine, from transport, and actually just last month we finished our last summer camp, and we had students from all those faculties. For us, let's start with the students. For them, this is a great opportunity to see how the big corporations are working. They earn some money. That is, that they are being paid for working as intern and summer camp. And well, of course, for them, it's one thing. One of the most important things is that they can add one note to their CV. For us, this is an excellent opportunity that we continue to building the relationship with the universities, but also to present ourselves to the students, present our company, and really selfish reasons that we can use that as a first line of evaluation of work that students are doing, and that we can identify what are the best students. Of course, basically we are getting cheap workforce because you're paying students usually much less than you're paying employees. And the best thing is that we are actually solving some of the issues and some of the ideas that we wanted to develop some prototype. So this summer camp is sort of a win-win for all. After the summer camp, which is 5 weeks, or usually other events like this that we are organizing, which last for only a few weeks, if we evaluate first this evaluation of the idea. We want to move to the next stage. Then we are moving it to the our excellent garage, which is intended to operate for 6 months. The project operates there for 6 months. So it's a dedicated space. It's not occupied space. It is occupied when needed. And during these 6 months, or very often also up to 1 year, we are developing this minimum viable product that then we are putting it to the next stage, putting it to the accounts organization, to the marketing, to try to push it as soon as possible to the market. And to close this first part of presentation, so there are a lot of events and things that we are doing. We're doing the hackathons. The hackathons are not necessarily connected directly with innovations. They are more of a software development practice, but they are one source of ideas. So hackathons, innovation days, meaning the events where we are presenting our best ideas internally to employees, but also to external partners to present what are the state of technology and what are new things that we could develop. Also having innovation challenges, summer camp, and all things like that, having the innovation process in place. But basically, the most important things when talking about innovations in corporation is building of the innovation culture. Because it makes no sense if you are just having innovation process because you need to satisfy some compliance for the company. But really, if you can introduce the right way of thinking, right way of behaving, the right culture, then actually you can get the innovations at any point of time, and something that really out of blue could really surprise you and build a new business within the company. So building of innovation culture, actually all these activities are only targeting one thing, and that is to build the culture, and the ideas will happen on themselves. One question now. Sorry, first questions. Do you have any questions related to this so far?
Sure. I think we have one question. I think Anita is raising her hand.
Okay. Hi, Hrvoje. I'm really enjoying your presentation so far. I'm really fascinated because here at Algebra, we're so interested in that kind of ecosystem that is developing around innovation, and building that kind of motivation among young people. I was really fascinated by what you said about the summer camp. What does it look like? What kind of connections does that eventually have, with building that ecosystem in Croatia, and then furthering that out of the boundaries of this country? And how does that look in other locations where Ericsson does something like that? So what I'm asking about specifically is, how does that look in terms of, when somebody applies and their idea gets accepted, what kind of support does this innovator have? And then what can it do to motivate that generation of potentially a future, branch idea that can be either a future startup or something that can come back, give back to the company? So what does that ecosystem look like? And
first of all, I would like to say that summer camp are having it for 20 years now. So almost as soon as we started with the innovation process, we also started with the summer camp. And over 20 years, it's a lot of experience. And I said that, for example, in Ericsson in Sweden, they saw this summer camp as an excellent thing, and they wanted to replicate this in Sweden. And I must say that first they failed. Because they underestimated what is the complexity of organizing a summer camp like this. At first, it might seem like, well, it's an easy thing. You just call the students here, you give them some environment, you give them some support, minimum support, and they will do all the work. But in reality, it doesn't work like that. Students working in a corporate environment with the corporate processes, with the corporate tools, it's quite strange, it's quite different for students. When they first came to the company, this is the feedback I got from Sweden. Actually, the students came here, they gave them equipment, said here are the logins, and here are the tools, the framework, start creating something. I will get back to you in 5 weeks' time. And after 5 weeks' time, actually, they realized that students were still trying to figure out how to log into system, what's the corporate policy for this, corporate policy for that. So actually, there's a very long lead-in time for students to start working in this kind of environment. Although, you are working at very high-level ideas, and you are doing really high-level prototypes, but you lose really a lot of time to get people working in this kind of environment. Now, talking about the building of ecosystem, for a long time, actually, we invited students to work on ideas that our employees identified. So they were all more of workforce working for us. We actually, several times we attempted that, okay, we have, just to talk about the numbers, I think this year I think we had 40 students. But in previous years, we had 70, 80 students working here. And we always identified few teams, like 2, 3 teams. And we said to the students, okay, we'll leave it to you. Try to identify any idea, just brainstorm on something, and then we'll help you to develop the prototype for this. So majority of students are working on ideas from our employees, but we also try to use sort of a hackathon or brainstorming approach for some students. And from our experience, our technology, and talking about telecom industry, was very specific. There are high technology competence barriers for students to enter easily into our segment. But, and this is something that I wanted to show in the last part of the presentation, and that is 5G. 5G, a lot of talk last few years on 5G, and I showed that few years, just 2018, we had first 5G demo in Croatia, and after the summer, actually the 5G commercially started in Croatia. And what 5G is introducing is really that it can transform not only telecom, but number of different industries. That 5G can transform the healthcare, transportation, manufacturing, logistics. If I had more time, I would present this to you. And actually, this is time where now I think the telecom industry is coming into different segments of industry. And actually, we see now that we are connecting different industries. In our garage, actually, we are having now guys that are developing drones, and we are connecting those drones to 5G. We have medical devices that are connected to 5G. We are talking with the manufacturing companies in Croatia. How can we help them with the transfer? How can 5G transform their businesses? And I think that really with the what we started with the 3G and 4G that enabled that the communication are entering different parts of industry like healthcare and land registry. So sort of a back-end, large-scale government-level industry where huge investments are needed. With the 5G, we can see that different sub-segments and consumer market is being changed. We don't have enough time to go through this, but this is one slide that I wanted to show you, and how the 5G is actually now creating a completely new ecosystem where you have universities which are on pinnacle of the technology development. You have telecom companies, you have operators, you have us as a vendor for telecom company, so having early stage development of software and hardware, but also what you need here is the consumer segment, for example. And here's the example how today what we are having is that smartphone, tablets, people are constantly streaming videos, music, and this is happening on 4G. But what we already started to seeing is the introduction of augmented reality, virtual reality, that you can look at the Formula One, for example, with your AR glasses. You can change the position where you're tracking Formula race. You can go to the concerts, to do live sports events through your VR glasses. So the new technology and 5G with its high speeds, low latency actually is changing the way that we are using current day technologies. And how it's going to look in the future when the 5G will be fully deployed, we can only imagine. I always say one example is that if you were supposed to use YouTube on your mobile phone on 3G, you would go crazy. But only with the 4G, the high speeds that 4G brought, actually the YouTube became possible on mobile phones. And what the 5G will enable on your mobile phones, we cannot even imagine. At least we can imagine that it's going into the direction of VR and AR. But we see that for this to happen, you need to have this ecosystem of people, of teams that are developing AR solution, VR solution, of university, of or telecom domain companies, so that you can actually create really something new. And in that cases, actually, we are now very eager to work with different companies and to create this new ecosystem.
So just to kind of summarize what you're saying is that rather than having just that intern system where you said that there were, employees themselves who asked for problems to be solved, it seems like what you're structuring now is a lot more communication back and forth with ideas, and then this huge technology potential that just opens up so much more collaboration around the corporate structure and is much more flexible. That's very good. Yes, and this is, of course, I agree, is just going to open up so many different tools. So it's exciting. Thank you.
One question on time plan. So where are we now?
We are at the end of your presentation, but if you have a few slides more, just go on briefly.
Yeah, I will just keep to the summary because then I will not go through all of this.
Right.
Sorry. One thing that I saw that the last presentation was mentioning, and it's often neglected, and this is patenting. And this is becoming especially important with the introduction of 5G and in development of completely new things. And I will not go what the patenting is. I'm assuming that you heard a lot of it in the previous presentation, but I will show you just how important patenting for us is. Just in 2020, Ericsson had 10 billion of net sales revenues coming from IPRs. And that is most related to patenting. So 10 billion of SEK, let's say about kuna. So a huge amount. You could say that it is one of the most important business segments, except for selling the equipment to the operators and selling to the. This is I showed you healthcare. We could say the third important part of business is also revenues coming from the IPR, from the patents. So just to show you how important this is for a company that is investing a lot in R&D and is on front of 5G and creation of some new business segments. And I wanted to conclude with this one. There is always talk about how innovations are working in big companies, and three things to highlight. Innovations don't happen organically. That is a myth, just put up the process, and just leave it to the people and they will generate ideas. It doesn't happen. As I said, big companies are here for optimized for monetizing the existing portfolio. And if you want to introduce something new, you need to have specific process and ways to support people to introduce their ideas into ongoing processes in the company. It will not happen organically. You need to have the innovation organization that will support this. Then you might also say, if you want to work with innovations, we need to change completely the organization. We need to have the innovation manager per each department. We need to have it, set up across the all organizations. It's not really like that. Small scale innovation organization can drive the innovation for the whole organization, whether it's a skunk works, whether it's garage, but parallel setup of a small dedicated innovation team can actually drive the whole innovations in the organization, although you continuously want to invest throughout the organization that people understand what you're doing with innovations. And one myth is that in corporations, that they're always saying, yeah, but we are big, we are not flexible. No, the startups, those are the organizations that need to innovate. Those are the companies that are innovating. But in reality, that's not always the truth, because startups have one product. And if they fail with that product and doesn't hit the market, they fail. In reality, 99% of the startups fail. For us, we have much more room to it. So we could try one thing, oh, it doesn't work like that. We can try another thing, it doesn't work like that. If you want to really investment of 1 year to create a minimum viable product from startup perspective, it looks completely insane. But consider that this is the investment that large corporations can afford. And usually, after 1 year of development, actually, you can really be certain that what you're putting to the market can cover for all the failures that you missed with the previous product, with the previous attempts. So, yeah, just wanted to conclude on that one. So, that's it from our side. Thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask now.